Delaney, the CapeCod.com News Center, and welcome to Sunday Journal. I'm joined today by Amanda Converse from Love Live Local, here to talk about some awesome stuff going on with some local business, a quick recap of how the summer's been going, 4th of July especially, as well as highlighting some of the upcoming events that are going to be taking place from Love Live Local, and even up into that like off-shoulder season, but now it's like second summer, so we'll talk a lot about that as well. But do you have the statistic for how much money for when you spend local, like the money stays on Cape as opposed to going off Cape? I think you have like a ratio.
We do. So for when you spend your dollars with a local business, whether it is a service provider, a retailer, a restaurant, all types of businesses, you reinvest up to 4 times the amount of money into the local economy when you compare it to their corporate counterparts. And then, we like to throw in a last little nugget says when you shop online with a big corporate retailer, none of that money stays on Cape Cod. So that's what, when I say we encourage people to shop local at the Love Local Fest and all year round, it really is about that and strengthening and supporting our local economy and making it sustainable. And that, again, is year-round. We definitely try to encourage that.
Yeah, and with year-round as well. So you do this event multiple times throughout the year, but I believe there's one for December
yes.
too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of this can be also like, I don't want to say putting together a wish list, but maybe remembering when like holiday season rolls around and if you want to buy some jewelry and stuff like that. You think that's part of it? It's like, hey, make a note. You don't have to buy today, but maybe put a pin in that.
Absolutely. I mean, so we have the events are the last Sunday in July, the last Sunday in September, and then the first Saturday in December, which is part of the Hyannis holiday event. And if you see a local maker that you love, that you're like gifts, you will have the opportunity to shop them in December. And also, I will point out that many of our local brands, they have their own online presence as well. So you can order directly from them any time of year. And one of the things that messages we like to put out there is that we try to encourage people to think local first whenever they're purchasing anything. So anytime you're spending money, try to think local first, then think local again. There are over 8,000 locally owned businesses on Cape Cod, and so they're bound to have what you want and need. And then if you can't find it there, then you can go to other larger retailers. But we really it's not about shaming people. It's just about kind of informing them and exposing them. And that's why with the festivals and we have annual publications that share all of the local businesses that you can purchase the items you need from. Want and need, really. And then we have a retail store in downtown Hyannis as well where you can shop those local makers all year round.
Yeah, it's awesome, especially with the online component. I mean, that's just so important now because Cape Cod can be historically a little difficult to get down to if you're coming down for the weekend over those bridges. I can understand not wanting to be like, oh, I really like that one piece of jewelry, but it's like an hour and a half away.
Yeah.
So the online is a huge component of that. I know you guys have been playing into that of trying to help with the digital storefronts and stuff like that. And you also mentioned a little bit off microphone before we started about how there's also the some policy efforts as well as some other things that you guys are trying to work on to help improve these local businesses, especially upcoming for this event. Can you elaborate a little bit more about some of the initiatives that you've been undertaking to kind of help out the local businesses at a fiscal level?
Yeah, absolutely. So from at the policy level, what we try to do is communicate with all levels of government about the importance of the local businesses. So we share with them the statistics that I shared with you, and the research and analysis that we have done over the years that really definitively shows that our local businesses are much better for our local economy, and supporting them is paramount. All levels of government can invest in our local businesses in many different ways, and so we like to outline those for them whenever we can. And then the other thing that we do, we've heard from a lot of our locals that access to technical assistance and access to capital are huge barriers for them in growing their business. And so we put on technical assistance workshops a couple times a year. We have in those technical assistance workshops, they're free programs for the businesses, and they offer practical advice, expert presentations, one-on-one technical assistance, and that's from marketing to sales to how to wholesale, how to evolve your product line. So we really try to work with specifically the types of local makers and brands, like those micro businesses that you see at our pop-up events. We're really focused on them now. We are looking to expand those offerings. And so at the Love Local Fest, if you attend, you will see that that we are going to be doing a big effort to raise money for these programs. And then we also this year are launching our Fest Insider opportunity. So you can pre-register for the event, which is entirely free, and you'll get some insider information. You get a coupon to use at our tent to buy some Love of Local merch, and then you'll be entered into a rather large giveaway from gift certificates to local businesses. So that's something that we're working on this year. And then there will be an opportunity to also support the programming that we put on. And like I said, it's a couple of times a year now. We'd love to expand those offerings to not just the local makers and brands who really have benefited from those tailored offerings, but we've had a lot of our brick and mortars asking us to offer them the programs as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awesome. And I also wanted to ask a little bit more about like what kind of tools are there for maybe people who are just trying to get into the business? Like, do you also are you targeting like new people that are coming in? Because I do know some people kind of get a little bit nervous where it just becomes like an insular group of the same businesses. But I was wondering like how about for you already mentioned the micro businesses. That's just kind of the small people that are doing jewelry out of their basement or something.
Yeah.
So you're already kind of showing that there's some efforts there. But can you just like highlight about like maybe who new entrepreneurs that are trying to break into it or new younger families wanting to come into Cape Cod and start a business?
Yeah.
Who's that? What's there for them?
Yeah, we so the way these workshops came to be in the first place was through people seeking our advice about these types of topics, and so we thought we need to formalize this and package it and then offer it to them, and there was a demand for that. And then we have, over the years, become a stop for a lot of people who are looking to start a business. And so, again, when I say we want to expand those offerings, we'd love to expand it into kind of like how to even get off the ground. We consider our Love Local Fests and our retail store as incubators for a lot of these entrepreneurs, and so we'd like to again formalize that and be able to offer that type of programming.
Mm-hmm. Actually, so the store that you guys have, so what is it? Your own goods, or are you providing goods that other makers are making? Can you actually? I don't think we've ever really highlighted exactly how the store operates.
Yes.
So can you elaborate for us?
Well, it's so interesting. So my co-founder Jen Villa and I, we started out as retailers, and that's how Love of Local kind of came to be. Is we weren't hearing people in the community talking about the importance of choosing local, and so it sort of felt natural when we let go of our retail businesses to have a retail component of Love of Local. And we have festivals 3 times a year, and oftentimes people will come to us in the off season asking for specific products. And so we sell local makers and brands in our store who participate in our Love Local Fests. So you can shop the festival year round. And what we have also started doing in our retail space is providing space for other entrepreneurs. So, for example, Belonging Books. I don't know if you're familiar with Belonging Books, but they are a pop-up bookstore who centers on voices and stories of underrepresented communities and authors. And so that tends to be like BIPOC authors and LGBTQIA authors and stories. And they were kind of sad that their books were packed away, between events. And so we offered a corner of our store to do a permanent pop-up. And so we're starting to do that a little bit more and expand the offerings. We have this physical space to be able to support our local micro businesses as much as we can. And to that end, we are a pickup location for the Chatham Harvesters fish CSA share that they have, that they offer in the summer. So again, providing, these a connection point for local businesses with customers where they wouldn't be able to do it otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. The level of variety involved in the the offerings from fish to books to everything in
Yes,
between.
yes,
But
well, and that's our local economy, right?
well, yeah, that's Cape Cod. We're
yeah.
voracious readers and also voracious eaters of the
Yes,
shellfish and
yes,
other
yeah,
varieties.
yeah.
So yeah, but that's really interesting. Yeah, it is very Cape Cod unto itself. So yeah, that's awesome. And obviously, you've been doing this for a while now with the various festivities and stuff like that. But have they had to change in recent times? Have you had some new questions that have been coming up over the past few years, both from people who are going to the festivals as attendees? Do you think maybe interests have been changing in terms of just this is now just kind of spitballing?
No, I
crystal ball
think
questions?
honestly, I think interest has been growing, which has been so amazing to see. I think, when we first started the Love Local Fest, 12 seasons ago, it was, obviously much smaller than it is now. And we've always had a creative culture here and creative entrepreneurs. And now I feel like having events like this, and not just ours, but pop-up events all across the Cape, it's giving people the opportunity to explore their creativity and have a platform to connect with customers. And so I think what has been growing, and we've been told by people that we really have, added to the conversation, if not changed the conversation around shopping and choosing where you're spending your dollars. And so I think it's just, the interest of really having something that is created here has just grown so much over the past 12 seasons.
Yeah. So as well, I mean, this is Azleton Park is obviously a wonderful location. Don't get me wrong, but have you considered expanding out or alternate locations?
Well,
sites,
it's to your point. Azleton Park, we absolutely love it. It's where we started the event, and we think it really is representative because there's that gorgeous water view and the ferries are driving.
Right,
the harbor is amazing, and the Hyannis Harbor is a working harbor, and there's so much that goes on there. So we just feel like that summer event works really well there. The December event we do on the Hyannis Village Green, and that allows us to host a lot more local makers, and then it connects us directly to the Hyannis Village Stroll, which is important because both are really important to the economy here and creating, an event for people to come down, whether they are local or a visitor, to come down and connect with our local businesses is it's really important to us.
All right, awesome. Now, while you were here, I did want to kind of ask in general some ongoing issues that we've been facing. Obviously, we're coming hot off the heels of we made this appointment to have this meeting in, and then shortly after there was the announcement of the $1 billion for the Cape Cod Canal Bridge to replace the Sagamore Bridge. And so since then, I've been loving to get some different angles from people. We talked with Mark Forrest, Barnstable County Commissioner. We talked with Paul Nzwicki, of course, as well. But I wanted to ask kind of what your reactions are, maybe what you've been seeing from some of the other local businesses. How do the canal bridges impact some places like retail spaces in Hyannis? It's a bit further away, but there is a very deep connection there. So what have you been seeing? What were some of your reactions? And how does that impact you guys on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. And Mark and Paul are certainly much more well-versed in the bridge funding than I am, and that project. They've been instrumental in making that happen for our region. And I can't stress the importance of those bridges enough. They are our lifeline to the rest of the state and the country. I think when you think about it, it's not just about getting tourists to the Cape. It's not just about the consumer coming here. It really is about our supplies. All of the businesses, they do get things from off Cape, and being able to have them safely and successfully cross in a timely manner is incredibly important. And we see when there is construction on the bridges that holds up the supply chain to a great degree. And, if we were to lose either one of those bridges, it would greatly impact our local economy. So the fact that there is that momentum towards replacing at least the Sagamore for now, and I'm confident that the Bourne will be to follow. It's a huge win for our local economy.
Yeah, right now it is. So the state officials, just to make the federal grant application process more appealing, just for people who aren't fully caught up on it, they just are starting with the Sagamore, but Governor Maher Healey keeps saying, like, oh, the Bourne is still a priority. It's a loop
Yes.
system. Paul Nizwicki has been very active in advocating for the importance of the Bourne Bridge as well. Both are facing significant maintenance in the coming years if they don't get replaced. And that could potentially lead, this is me citing Paul Nizwicki now, lead to months of closures for like the Bourne Bridge. Not just one lane closure, just the whole bridge has to be shut down, which would be an economic scar lasting at least a generation.
Yes, and people, I mean, beyond the supply, we have employees that drive over that bridge every day. And,
Wareham is now the workers' town. When I was younger, it was when my parents moved here. It was Eastham. It was like the workers' town as contractors were moving in. But now, half of our workforce is off Cape, and Wareham is now just part of the Cape and Islands region at this point. Among Carver and Plymouth, and Bourne straddles both sides already.
And we can't, as we know, and you and I have talked about many times, we can't afford to lose any access to workers, employees. Our local businesses struggle to find those people as it is. And if we cut off that lifeline or lose any part of it, it would be incredibly detrimental to our businesses.
I'm all for remote work, but it's kind of hard to remote work in hospitality
it is.
or ice cream.
It's
a bit tough. Yeah, we've been seeing so many questions as well with like ferry service and supply lines to the islands, Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. That's been a big conversation down in Falmouth and Woods Hole with the terminals, and like it raised questions about like how difficult it is to get supplies on the Martha's Vineyard. But I've been kind of just watching, like, we're not much different with Cape Cod, as we have these two bridges inside, but it's still a closed system. It's not like we can have a big, you can't have a huge cargo hauler come into Hyannis Harbor.
Nope.
So we kind
of cargo planes, or
Yeah, we'll airdrop in.
Right.
My TJ Maxx delivery. It'll just be landing right down in Orleans. Watch out. We keep it clear in the parking lot. But yeah, it's interesting. I sometimes wonder, like, how does any of this function? Just these two bridges, how are they not constantly clogged with semi trucks?
Yeah, I mean, the amount of traffic they see is equal to the Golden Gate Bridge, which, when you think about it, it's mind blowing.
It's crazy. Well, when I first heard about that, it was Paul Nizwicki kind of mentioning, like, oh yeah, we're competing with Golden Gate Bridge for funding, and I'm like, how is that possible?
How is that possible?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and it's true.
Yeah.
But I think you had mentioned as well. We'll talk with the Cape Cod Commission as well, specifically one-on-one soon. But the Cape Cod Commission is doing a study of like what is the impact of the financial, like,
what would happen if we were to lose access to either bridge, one or both. What would the impact on our economy be? Yeah,
I'm sure that the Sagamore Bridge is probably like per hour worth more in dollars for moving, just because the Bourne is segmented off.
Yeah.
But it's still very important.
It is very important. Yep.
Yeah, but as well. I mean, so yeah, we're coming up on the shovels and ground time. We'll say there's no concrete date yet, and there's going to be so many questions about like, what is the lead up going to look like.
Yep.
But yeah, it's important, and we're seeing a major milestone, 100 years of these bridges. So we're hoping for another 100 after this one.
Yeah.
Seeing those new designs on the stamps and whatnot, but very interesting for local developments.
Yeah.
So as well, we're going to talk about that second summer. There's a couple of events that I wanted to talk about with the second summer cycle, which is new. Cape Cod Chamber's involved in that. You guys are beneficiaries.
Yes.
But as well, like, just the second summer in general is like kind of a new concept. We always talk about, like, oh, it's the best kept secret for Cape Cod. But it's like, is that a taboo? Not taboo, but it's like, do we need to kind of like break down that barrier between summer and fall and winter for like a sustainable stuff? But you're more educated than I on this topic, so why don't you
if I'm more educated.
Tell us a little bit more about the events going on, but then also
I mean, so I think it's nice to have it be called the second summer, which I consider just after kids go back to school, and the Cape definitely lightens up a little bit, but there's still beach days that happen. And then the shoulder seasons are more in the fall and into December and January, when we still have mild weather and lots to do. I mean, the Cape is so busy in the fall. And like I said, we have a December event. Our Love Local Fest in December, and the Hyannis Holiday event is they're a huge draw. We have people come from off Cape and all over the Cape to Hyannis that day. So there's still so much going on. And I think we as an organization like ours and many other organizations, we try to create these events and reasons for people to come, and then they will visit our local businesses and work with them in a different way. And the second summer cycle, as you mentioned, is September 15th, and they are a standalone organization at this point, and their whole mission is to have this incredible bike ride where you get to see all of the amazingness of Cape Cod. If you ride the whole Century ride, you'll ride over 100 miles from Sandwich to Provincetown, and the beauty of that event is that all of the money raised goes back into the community to 18 different beneficiary organizations, of which we, Love of Local is very humbled to be one. And we have a team that we've assembled and
training now.
They are training. Hopefully, they're training now. It's about 2 months away, but but there are, besides the 100 miles, there's also about a 60 and a 30 mile. So it's not a race, it's a ride. So very much encouraged for anyone who is interested to look into it, and that is for both people off Cape to enjoy the Cape in the second summer, but also for locals to enjoy it as well. So
yeah, it's a bit far now. I'm sure you'll be back on to chat about it when it gets a bit closer. Just want to do a bit of a teaser now. But it's great that they have the options for the knee and joint challenged like myself.
Yeah.
Skiing accident a few years ago.
Yes.
Bike riding a bit further than a mile is a little tough, but it's very fun to get out there and see the Cape's bike opportunities.
Yeah.
But yeah, as well, we're about coming up on time, but I definitely want to touch on like the culture. Would the Cape's economy and the Cape at large, would it be a bit healthier and safer for businesses if we were able to spread out commerce so that's not just like you have to make 90% of your money around 4th of July and then you shut down in the winter?
Yeah, I mean,
would it be better to eliminate the delineation?
Yeah, any business would tell you to be able to diversify how and where and when they get their income is much more it's much more stable. And it is we love the summer months and understand why people want to be here during that time, but it is definitely would be if we could create more commerce opportunity in the shoulder seasons. We'll give a couple months off in the winter because it is pretty intense to go year round. But it's definitely, it would be much better for our local economy, and and we encourage not just visitors but also locals to think that way year round. And so it's like, yes, enjoy our local businesses now, as frustrating as it can be to get to them at this point, but also in the in the off season, that's when our locals can really actually come out and support as well.
Yeah, because it has to be worthwhile, right? It's easy to say like, well, why don't you just stay open in the winter? It's like, well, one, workforce, and then two is there a customer base? Is
there a customer base? So. And I think most businesses, because they want to retain their employees, they would like to stay open a lot longer, but it's whether or not it's there and it's available to them to be able to make that work.
Yeah.
So.
And then the affordable housing, of course, kind of comes into it because then it's like, can you house you need 12 extra employees to man your restaurant during July as opposed to January.
Yeah.
And then they're already getting used to the fact that like this job might not be here come November, December, especially, as much as we like to continue to do stuff there. So it's all connected. I know we keep coming on, and pretty much every Sunday Journal has been affordable housing is mentioned somehow.
It's it's a number one issue on Cape Cod for economic development and for so many other reasons. Well,
yeah, we'll have the Sunday Journal bingo sheet is available up on capecod.com. We're going to be getting that one going at some point soon. No, just jesting. But we're about coming up on time. Is there anything else you wanted to highlight for our listeners while I still have you, either about upcoming events you're excited for, how the summer's going? We have, of course, the Cape Cod Canal bridges and other major topics when it comes to policy. I'm not quite sure if you had something that you wanted to address for our local lawmakers, if there's some interesting stuff that is on the horizon you wanted people to be aware of. We're in the election year. Get them now while we're still in the middle of it. But yeah, just any other closing comments you wanted to have for our listeners?
No, I think it's just, choose local. For everybody, and that goes from policymakers to consumers. Choose local whenever possible, and support the businesses in whatever way you can. And we always say, choosing local doesn't just mean about where you spend your money, but it's where you spend your time attention and intention. And so, just having that holistic view about supporting our local economy it's really important.
It is. Oh, actually, one last thing before I forget. I swear we have time for this one. But you were just actually in with Steve Johnson talking about the digital equity and wanting to have more of a digital storefront options, as well as maybe diversify some of our internet service provider options. Right now, it's primarily Comcast, though Steve Johnson is also the executive director, CEO for OpenCape, the nonprofit fiber optic providing network. So how has that been going? I know you guys have been trying to push for people to take some speed tests, see if Cape is an underserved area, collecting some data. How's that been going? And do you want to talk a little bit about that before we wrap up?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been going really well. Definitely you can see there's dissatisfaction with the service that people are getting by the number of people who have connected with the Fixed Cape Internet Challenge. And I think what's most important to Love Live Local is that people, in particular, our local businesses have their voices heard about, their need for a quality and consistent broadband service. And so that's where, we've been really encouraging people to take these speed tests so that, that data is collected and then the powers that be can look and see where there might be gaps in service and what can be done about that.
All right. Well, good luck in the data collection front and also for the events that's going to be going on the end of this July. We'll have all the scheduling up on CapeCod.com as well as lovelivelocal.com.
Lovelivelocal.com. Yeah.
All right.
Lead
awesome.
with the heart. We always say, love, live local.
Love first, and then that's the way to go. All right, but awesome. We have the calendar up on there and also the events as well for the upcoming fest. And good luck with everything, and thank you for stopping by.
Thank you so much, Grady.
I'm Grady Collane, and thank you for listening to Sunday Journal.